Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Fornex and this is my Soulbeast Elite Specialization Guide for new and returning players. This guide focuses on PvE skills for the elite, not their PvP variants. And it is also not a deep dive into the meta endgame if you are looking for either of those links below. Instead, this guide is here to save new and returning players hours of research and reading on the wiki. The Soulbeast Elite Specialization can only be accessed by purchasing the Path of Fire expansion. So no Path of Fire, no shiny dagger, no awesome beast mode, or melding glory. You will also need to spend 250 hero points to fully unlock the Soulbeast Elite Specialization. Now this sounds like a rather taxing exercise, but in actuality it can be done in a matter of hours. For public safety, I am putting a disclaimer here. There will be information overload ahead, as I will be covering every skill and trait the Soulbeast has to offer. So it is best to use the guide as a reference, and please do take advantage of the timestamps in the pinned comment below. Now that said, if you are suffering from insomnia, please snuggle up under your duvet as we dive into the wondrous world of the Soulbeast Ranger. Let's start with a little history and how the devs describe the Soulbeast. The bond between a Soulbeast and their pet is so strong that they can become one in spirit. By channeling their pet, they become a single entity, attacking with fang-like dagger strikes and using the abilities of their companion and its archetype. Soulbeasts are new to both Guild Wars lore and the Guild Wars 2 gaming engine. The dev team battled with its implementation because of the need to develop substantial new technologies which allowed for pet merging and flowing into the Soulbeast, as well as the process of translating the pet skills into the player character's animations and the subsequent requirements for scaling. Now, at least some of the inspiration for the Soulbeast stems from martial arts. For example, the Soulbeast's utility skills are stances based on animals, much like the Jin Yi Kwa style of martial arts, which has 12 animal stances. Like all Path of Fire Elite specializations, there is an archetype NPC in-game. For Soulbeast, this NPC is a Bellic Z, who is located in the Lair of the Forgotten on the Desolation map. The primary mechanic for Soulbeast Rangers is Beast Mode, so let's drill down into this ability and its dedicated skills. To activate Beast Mode, click the circle button here at the top of your health indicator. This action melds you and your current pet, giving you access to 3 dedicated pet skills found here, bound to your F1 to F3 function keys. Now F1 and 2 are determined by your pet's family, so if you are running a wolf, your pet family will be canine. We will cover all the pet families next up, but if you want to jump to that section of the guide, links below. Your F3 skill is dedicated by your pet's archetype, which we will cover after we've covered the family abilities shortly. So let's look at all the different pet families and their associated F1 and F2 melded skills. There's quite a few of them. In fact, there are 3 aquatic families, 4 amphibious, and 11 terrestrial. Aquatic pets can only be used in underwater combat, where you have access to the armored fish, jellyfish, and the shark to choose from. So let's look at the armor fish, which grants an F1 skill of protection, which applies 10 seconds of protection to the ranger, reducing incoming damage by 33%. The armored fish's F2 skill is chomp, which deals a flat single target damage in 150 range, whilst also healing the ranger. Onto the tentacle awesome jellyfish, which offers an F1 healing cloud skill. Now this is a combo water field which grants a regeneration in a radius around the range of 240. This skill pulses 6 times and can affect up to 5 allies. The Jellyfish's F2 skill is Dark Water, which is a 900 range combo smoke field which deals modest flat damage and inflicts 3 seconds of blindness on up to 5 targets in its 240 radius. The field pulses 7 times and endures for 7 seconds. Finally, in the aquatic families, we come to sharks, whose F1 skill, Charging Bite, is a 600 range combo leap finisher which deals flat damage and inflicts 7 stacks of bleeding for 10 seconds on up to 3 targets. This is a multi-strike attack. Its F2 skill, Fear, is a single target 900 range crowd control 2-second, fear. Amphibious pets can be used in both aquatic and terrestrial combat and comprise of bears, devourers, drakes, and felines. If you like your pets big, round and furry, well, bears might be your cup of tea, and they offer F1 skill of Bite, which deals flat, close range melee damage, as well as self-healing for the ranger. The bear's F2 is Defy Pain, rendering the ranger immune to incoming flat damage for 3 seconds. Please note, you are still susceptible to condition damage and crowd controlling effects like fear and knockback. Next up, we have the Scorpion-inspired Devourer family, whose F1 skill is Tail Lash, 130 hard crowd control knockback of 360. This attack will also deal modest damage and can affect up to 3 targets. The Devourer family's F2 skill is Devourer Retreat, which is a 3/4 second evade, which teleports the ranger 300 units backwards from their current location. On to the beautiful Drake family. I've always had the soft spot for these chaps, whose F1 skill is Chomp, which is a 130 range cleave attack which can affect up to 3 targets. It deals flat damage and offers self-healing on the ranger. For each target you hit, you gain healing. The Drake family's F2 skill is Tail Swipe, which is a 225 combo blast finisher which deals flat damage and inflicts 5 seconds of weakness on up to 5 targets. Finally, we come to the Feline family, all those beautiful kitties. Their F1 skill is Bite. Cat owners will know this well, which is a single target 130 range flat damage attack. Now, your kitty's F2 skill is Maul, a cleave attack which inflicts 4 stacks of bleeding for 10 seconds on up to 3 targets in its 130 range, as well as dealing modest flat damage. This attack hits twice, applies 2 stacks of bleeding and flat damage for each of its hits. Finally, we come to terrestrial pets, which can only be used for land-based combat and are by far the most numerous of the pet categories, being made up of birds, bristlebacks, canines, fanged Ebola, jacarandas, MOAS, porcines, rock gazelles, smokescales, spiders, and wyvern. For the twitchers out there, birds offer the Soulbeast Ranger F1 Swoop, which deals a single target flat damage as well as self-healing. The bird's F2 is Quickening Scream, which grants 10 seconds of swiftness for up to 5 allies in a 480 radius around the ranger. Bristlebacks, which are a Heart of Thorns exclusive pet, offers Soulbeast Rangers F1 Rain of Spikes, which is a 600 radius attack, which can affect up to 3 targets, launching 3 spikes at each target, inflicting 5 seconds of bleeding and flat damage on them. The Bristleback's F2 skill is Sharpened Spikes, which allows the ranger to inflict bleeding with any of their attacks for 30 seconds. This effect can hit up to 5 targets and inflicts 5 seconds of bleeding in addition to your attack skill's original effects. If you are a puppy lover, and I put myself in this category, canines offer the Soulbeast Ranger F1 Crippling Leap, an 800 range combo leap finisher, which can cripple for 5 seconds up to 3 targets as well as dealing flat damage. Your puppy's F2 is Brutal Charge, which is a hard crowd control 2-second knockdown. This 400 range combo leap finisher can affect up to 3 targets. If you enjoy a bit of Lovecraft in your life, the Fanged IBOGA might be your cup of tea, but you will have to own Path of Fire to enjoy the company of this interesting looking pal, whose F1 skill is Crippling Anguish, which is a 900 range projectile attack which inflicts 3 stacks of confusion and 1 stack of torment for 3 seconds on your target. This vegetarian nightmare's F2 skill is Noxious Spores, which is a 1200 range ground targeted attack that can affect up to 5 targets. The attack pulses 6 times, inflicting confusion and dealing flat damage. If an enemy remains in the affected area for the skill's full duration, they will receive 6 stacks of confusion for a total of 8 seconds. The scourge of all vegans is the Jacaranda, but if you want to own this strange rabid root, well, you're gonna have to own Path of Fire as well. Its F1 skill, Call Lightning, is 180 radius pulsing attack, which deals flat damage and inflicts 5 stacks of vulnerability for 6 seconds if the target remains in the affected area for the full duration of the attack. This attack also pulses flat damage and can affect up to 5 targets. The Jacaranda's F2 skill is Photosynthesize, which is a self-healing skill which removes 2 conditions on the ranger, as well as offering both flat healing and regeneration for 6 seconds. Much loved by old school Guild Wars players, the MOA offers an F1 Harmonic Cry, which is a 240 radius group heal which can affect up to 5 allies. Its F2 skill, Frenzied Attack, is a multi-strike attack which deals flat damage and inflicts 5 stacks of vulnerability on your target in a melee range of 130. Babe fans might want to opt for melding with their little piggies, and if you do, your F1 melded skill will be Maul, which is a 130 range melee attack which deals flat damage and inflicts 2 stacks of bleeding for 6 seconds on your target. Your snouty boy's F2 attack is the Brutal Charge, which is a hard crowd control 450 range combo leap which can affect up to 3 targets, knocking them down for 3 seconds as well as dealing flat damage. If you decide to meld with the elegant Rock Gazelle, 1, you will need Path of Fire, and 2, it will gift you with an F1 kick skill, which is a 270 range melee attack which deals flat damage and inflicts 3 stacks of vulnerability on up to 3 targets. The Gazelle's F2 is the Charge, which is a 1000 range, charge, which can daze up to 5 targets for 1 second as well as causing flat damage. This skill can be used without a target. If you enjoy puppies with terrifying faces, then the Smokescale might be your ticket, but you will have to own the Heart of Thorns expansion. Melding with this dread beast will give you an F1 takedown, which is a hard crowd control 2-second knockdown with 130 range. The F2 attack is Smoke Assault, which is a 750 range 1.5 second evade, which grants 8 seconds of might to the ranger. On activation, your character model disappears as the skill deals flat damage to up to 5 targets in a radius of 300 around the ranger. You must have a target to use this skill. Arachnophobes may wish to avoid melding with their 8-legged buddies, but for those brave enough, the F1 skill you gain is Entangling Web, which is a 900 range combo physical projectile attack which immobilizes your enemy for 3 seconds, as well as causing modest damage. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man F2 skill is Poison Gas, which is an unblockable combo poison field which can affect up to 5 targets. The poison field has a 240 radius which inflicts 4 seconds of poison and endures for 4 seconds. Finally, for those who want to embrace their inner Khaleesi and be the mother of dragons, well, you get to meld with the Wyvern, but you had better own the Heart of Thorns or no dragon puppies for you. The wonderful Wyvern's F1 melded skill is a Tail Lash, which is 180 radius 4-second cripple, which can affect up to 5 targets. Your Flappy Boy's F2 skill is Wing Buffet, which is a hard crowd control that knocks back up to 5 targets, 300 unit, and deals modest flat damage. Now to the F3 bound archetype skill, of which there are 5. Prelude Lash, Spiritual Reprieve, Worldly Impact, Primal Cry, and Unflinching Fortitude. Prelude Lash. This skill pulls enemies towards the ranger within its 300 range. It deals modest flat damage, can affect up to 5 targets, and inflicts 2 seconds of immobilization on them too. Its archetype is versatile, which offers bonus attributes of plus 200 versatility and plus 225 concentration. This skill is linked to the Polar Bear, the Raven, the White Raven, the Whip-Tail Devourer, the Reef Drake, the Jaguar, the Cheetah, the Red Jellyfish, the Pink and Black MOAS, the Boar, the Jungle Spider, the Black Widow Spider, and the Electric Wyvern. Spiritual Reprieve. This skill heals up to 5 allies in a radius of 600 around the ranger. It also grants resistance for 3 seconds, which renders any conditions on the ranger and their allies ineffective. This skill's archetype is Supportive, which grants bonus attributes of plus 100 vitality and plus 25% outgoing healing. This skill is linked to the Brown Bear, the Owl, the Fern Hound, the Marsh Drake, the Jungle Stalker, Pig, and the Jacaranda. Worldly Impact is a combo leap finisher with a 240 radius that inflicts flat damage on up to 5 targets. This skill's archetype is Ferocious, which grants bonus attributes of plus 200 power and plus 100 ferocity. This skill is linked to the Arctudus, the Eagle, the Crichton Drakehound, the Lash-Tail Devourer, the River Drake, the Tiger, the Sand Lion, the Red Moa, the Cave Spider, the Smokescale, and the Rock Gazelle. Primal Cry is an area of effect shout, which inflicts 3 stacks of bleeding for 6 seconds and 5 stacks of vulnerability for 6 seconds on up to 5 targets in its 360 radius, as well as dealing flat damage. Primal Cry's archetype is Deadly, which grants bonus attributes of plus 200 condition damage and plus 100 precision. This skill is linked to the Morella, the Hawk, the Wolf, the Carrion Devourer, the Salamander Drake, the Lynx, the Blue and Rainbow Jellyfish, the White Moa, the Warthog, the Forest Spider, the Fire Wyvern, the Fanged IBOGA, the Bristleback, and the Shark. Unflinching Fortitude. This skill allows the ranger to take no incoming attacks for 4 seconds and removes all movement impairing effects, as well as being a stun breaker. The skill belongs to the Stout archetype that grants the bonus attributes of plus 200 toughness and plus 100 vitality. This skill is linked to the Black Bear, the Alpine Wolf, the Snow Leopard, the Blue Moa, the Sea Moth, and the Armor Fish. There are 6 stance skills which are unlocked for the Soulbeast Ranger, all of which are available for use in aquatic combat. These stances mirror the ethos of the animals which inspire them. So let's dive into these kung fu fighting stances, starting with the Soulbeast healing skill, Bear Stance, which is a 5-second healing and condition removing skill that cures 2 conditions a second and heals a modest amount for each condition removed. It also grants a large, flat self-heal on activation. Under the Soulbeast's utility skills, starting with Dolyak Stance, which is a stun breaker that grants 6 stacks of stability for 6 seconds, as well as curing movement impairing effects. Please note you are immune to movement impairing conditions whilst Dolyak Stance is active. Griffin Stance endures for 6 seconds and grants 3 seconds of super speed, 2 stacks of might for 8 seconds, and is a 1 second evade on activation. Whilst Griffin Stance is active, your endurance regeneration is increased by 100%. Endurance affects your dodge resource regeneration. MOAS Stance is a real boon generator which endures for 10 seconds and grants protection for 5 seconds, fury for 10 seconds, swiftness for 10 seconds, and regeneration for 10 seconds. This reads differently from the stance stats that you're looking at because the skill's other function increases the duration of boons by 66%. This effect will stack with other boon duration sources you possess but maxes out at that hard cap of 100%. Vulture Stance endures for 4 seconds and grants 4 seconds of might. Each time the skill's 4-second poison debuff is applied, the skill's application interval is 1/4 of a second. Finally, we come to the Elite Soulbeast skill, One Wolf Pack, which is an 8-second stance that allows you, on execution of a successful attack, to strike your target a second time. There is a strike delay of 1/4 of a second and a skill interval of again 1/4 of a second. Weapon skills. When you unlock the Soulbeast Elite Specialization, you also unlock a new weapon for the Ranger, a main hand dagger. Please note you can only equip your new stabby stick when you have selected the Soulbeast Specialization in your build. It is hard locked to that elite. So let's look at the dagger's weapon skills, starting with skill 1, which is a 4-sequence attack, the only one in the game, with groundwork gouge, leading swipe, serpent stab, and finishing with deadly delivery. Now the whole chain takes about 2 and a bit seconds to complete. Each attack in the sequence has 130 range and can affect up to 2 targets. Groundwork gouge deals flat damage and inflicts 4 seconds of vulnerability. Leading swipe inflicts 4 seconds of bleeding and flat damage. Serpent stab inflicts 4 seconds of poison and flat damage. And deadly delivery deals flat damage as well as inflicting 4 seconds of vulnerability and bleeding and poison. The dagger's skill 2 is Double Arc, which is a 130 range double strike attack which inflicts poison and 6 stacks of bleeding for 6 seconds on your target. In beast mode, the ranger's next attack inflicts poison, however when your pet is active, the poison stacks twice and endures for 7 seconds. Skill 3, Instinctive Engage, is a 400 range combo leap finisher that grants 3 seconds of swiftness as well as dealing flat damage. This skill has a 15-second recharge timer. Traits are split into Adept, Master and Grandmaster. Now Elite Specialization trait lines have an additional minor proficiency which allows you to use their unique weapons, in this case the dagger here. Let's dive into the Adept skill, starting with its fixed trait, Elevated Bond, which grants the Soulbeast Ranger access to stance skills. Adept's optional traits are Fresh Reinforcements, Live Fast, and Unstoppable Union. Fresh Reinforcements. Upon entering Beast Mode, this trait grants you any boons that were affecting your pet at the time you activated the Beast Mode. Live Fast. Whilst in Beast Mode, when you use your F3 Pet Archetype skill, you gain 6 seconds of Fury and 3 seconds of Quickness. When your pet is active, using your F2 unique skill will grant 6 seconds of Fury and 6 seconds of Swiftness too. Unstoppable Union. On activation of Beast Mode, this trait adds a stun break to the action and renders your attacks for the next 4 seconds unblockable. Onto the Master traits, starting with the fixed trait, Furious Strength. This fixed trait increases your damage output by 7% when you have the Fury boon, but this increase only applies to flat damage, not conditions. The 3 mastery optional traits are Second Skin, Essence of Speed, and Predator's Cunning. Second Skin reduces the damage taken from conditions on the Ranger by 33% when they have the boon protection. Essence of Speed increases the duration of boons affecting the Ranger by 2 seconds when the Ranger gains Swiftness. This trait does not extend the duration of the triggering Quickness boon. Predator's Cunning allows you to siphon life force from your enemy when you apply a poison debuff, healing the Ranger. This trait's effect is unblockable. Onto the Grand Master traits, starting with its fixed trait, Twice as Vicious, which increases both your flat and condition damage output by 5% when you use crowd control skills such as Stun, Knockdown, Float, Pull, Knockback, Launch, Veer, Taunt, and Daze. The Grand Master traits optionals are Eternal Bond, Leader of the Pack, and Oppressive Superiority. Eternal Bond. Whilst in Beast Mode, when a player would normally be downed by an attack, instead they drop out of Beast Mode and gain healing and protection for 3 seconds. Leader of the Pack enables the boons you gain from using stance skills to be applied to up to 5 allies in a 360 radius around the Ranger. This trait also increases the duration of stance boons by 120% for the Ranger and 50% for their allies. Oppressive Superiority increases by 10% the amount of damage you deal and the duration of the condition debuffs you inflict on enemies when their health is at a lower percentage than yours. Now, you may be thinking, my goodness, that is a lot of traits, and whilst that is all very interesting, Fornax, which traits should I be selecting for my character? And this is where I swiftly direct you to links in the description below, to Snow Crows, to Meta Battle, to Gods of PvP and Easy Builds, and also to the Guild Wars 2 Reddit, because there are just so many game types, encounters, situations, builds, preferences. It's too much to go into in this video, which is already probably ponderously long. So links below to all those wonderful resources. Take your time, have a look. My apologies. As with all elite specializations, the Soulbeast gets 2 unique weapons. The exotic Soulbeast Dagger, which is unlocked when you unlock your Soulbeast elite specialization, and the Ascended Fang of Mokili, which requires the collection of 14 items linked to Path of Fire events and gear. You also have access to the Soulbeast exotic pads, or as I call them, gloves, which you gain via unlocking the elite specialization, similar to the exotic dagger. So we have come to the end. That is my Ranger guide for the Soulbeast Elite specialization. If you have found this guide interesting, or it's helped you sleep, or maybe it's informative a little bit, please like, share, subscribe, and show some love to Ada, Hain, Molani, Jolly Joestar, Sir Azu, Cub, Christopher Martin, Dark Griever, and all my wondrous patrons without whom I will be unable to dedicate the time and resources I do to my content creation. I can never thank them enough. Now, if you feel inspired and want to try out the Soulbeast or any of the other fantastic specializations, there are referral links below to the free-to-play game, the Heart of Thorns expansion, and the Path of Fire expansion too, thanks to the generosity of ARENANET and their partner program, of whom I am a proud affiliate. Using any of the referral links below directly supports my channel. The next elite specialization I will be making will be for the Scourge, so if you are a necromancer or know someone who is, do keep an eye on the channel for that. Now, I hope you will join me again very soon for more Guild Wars 2 goodness, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.